Well, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Smarten Show. My name is Milena Weinberg, and tonight you will notice I have a co-host,
Friend.
Yossi Weinberg.
Hello, people.
So our daddy had to go to a meeting. Darryl Weinberg had to go to a meeting, but we are happy to be here together and welcome you here on the Messianic Lamb Network. The Smarten Up Show is for parents, for families, and we discuss anything to do with schools, education, parenting, and really parenting and education go hand in hand because all parents are teachers and all teachers are parents.
And you're a parent that's a teacher.
And I'm a parent that's a teacher. So we are excited to be with you this evening, and I know our friends in the United States are celebrating Thanksgiving. We've had our Thanksgiving here in Canada in October. It's because at this time in November, it's way too cold to have any kind of harvest celebration going on. And
it's tough to give thanks when it's this cold.
When it's this cold and the harvest is done, there's no more harvest to be brought to the table and celebrated.
Kale?
Oh, we do have kale, yes. So, and this time of the year, really, because the weather is getting cooler, the days are getting shorter. I mean, it's already dark out here. And, in the summer, it will be so bright and there'll be so much more of a day to enjoy. So people are starting to look into things that bring them happiness, that lift their spirits, that really help them endure those cold, dark days. And today it was actually pretty dark. It rained most of the day here, didn't it?
All day.
All day. And we didn't even get a chance to go outside. It wasn't very pleasant. And so, of course, we need to have some things to look forward to at this time of the year. And so we are going to discuss all kinds of different traditions and things that families do and observe and celebrate. And we are going to look at biblical perspective of this time of the year. And we're going to look at different perspectives that are obviously part of our society at this time of the year. So most of us know that. So the October is when it starts getting rainy. So October, the big holiday is Halloween. We've discussed about Halloween and all the evil that is associated with, including bad teeth after all the candy.
Your dentist is not proud.
Yes, we actually had dentist who said he loves Halloween and he loves buying lots of candy. No, just kidding. Yeah.
I love Halloween because then I get all the patients.
All the patients come after. But and a lot of people have spoken about the fact that the reason we're starting to get flu season around this time of the year because we have a little bit too much sugar and unhealthy stuff, and we forget to keep our immune system going. Of course, that's not the case in our house, right?
Yeah, don't look at me.
You're the one who has good eating habits. But as soon as Halloween's done and all the decorations are done, they go. And what happened on our street after Halloween decorations went down?
Halloween down, Christmas went right up.
Christmas went right up.
No, I mean seriously. There's people with fully decked out homes. It's not even halfway through November. Like, chill.
Right, I know, and there's all kinds of discussions in social media. Oh, how early is too early, and is it bad?
Yes, it's too early.
It is too early. And we actually had on our street lots of families. It was a couple of weeks ago that were celebrating Diwali.
Yes.
And we didn't know what it was, so we had to look it up.
You didn't know what it was. I knew it.
You knew about Diwali?
I just don't bother to tell anyone. It doesn't feel like a priority to me.
Right. So people were on our street were celebrating. It's another festival of lights, and it's it's the victory of lights over darkness. So it seems that at this time of the year we are really concerned about light and darkness and good and evil. And,
I wonder why.
And well, it just seems to be something that our minds go to when the days get this short and the nights get longer.
Hey, extra sleep for all of us.
Yeah, see here, doesn't mind the extra darkness because of the extra sleep, but it is tougher to get when it's a little darker outside, isn't it?
No, it's easier because then it feels like night.
Okay. So, not everybody minds, I guess. Um, so Thanksgiving obviously is a wonderful time to be thankful and celebrate for all the food we're given. But then all these holidays, all the indulgences start coming.
Woohoo! We went from Halloween, which is lots of candy, and now we're going to Christmas, which is more candy.
More candy, chocolates, cookies. Oh,
I
cookies.
think candy canes, gingerbread houses.
Gingerbread. Yes. So, and sharing food with family is a good way to celebrate, to feel festive and joyful. Um, and you probably, I don't know if it's this weekend, I haven't looked at the schedules, but we are starting to have events called Santa Claus parades.
Oh boy.
And um, I came across a post on social media, and are we going to be able to share this here?
Share, present.
Okay, so
Present, share screen.
we're going to share a screen.
Share screen.
And
Is it the Facebook one?
yeah, let's share the screen here just to show what was it that I found on social media this week. So,
And we found.
hold on. I think
Present is this one.
are we
Wait, no, just click the ad.
okay? I am going to.
All right, now
Okay, let's make it bigger. Much bigger. Let's make it this big.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my little comments in there. But apparently, this is an article that was published last year here in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and ended up finding its way in Peterborough Examiner, which is another city we lived in. And
we lived practically everywhere.
So anyway, it was the article was talking about the different people who were on parade, different companies, organizations, and then one of the slides was Krampus makes here.
Krampus makes an appearance at Santa Claus parade.
Krampus makes an appearance in Santa Claus at the annual Niagara Falls Santa Claus parade on Saturday, and so I just wanted to take a look and see some of the comments on social media. And I found out that a lot of people found that was highly inappropriate, disgusting. It's not family friendly, and it should not really be in this event. Okay, so that is to set the stage back. I guess we can stop presenting that.
You want to stop?
Yeah. So that is, and we'll talk a little bit about who Krampus is. Why did Krampus come into the Santa Claus parade? And really, this is the time, if we're going to talk about light and darkness, good and evil, we're going to have to talk about truth and lies. I mean, a lot of people in the world now are concerned about what the truth is because a lot of people have become aware that the media is not quite telling the truth. Our politicians may not necessarily be telling the truth.
How do you know when a politician is lying? When his lips are moving.
There you go. There's an ongoing joke. That's right. So that has become a pretty common joke, and we have to laugh about things, but people are truly concerned what truth is and what is not. So, as I was reading the comments about why was Krampus at the Santa Claus parade, somebody helped me out and put this article on. So let's share this one now. Let's present. I'm so happy I have my young helper here because.
Where is it now?
Hold on.
Wait, select the tab to share. Oh, top one there.
Is it? Oh, look, it was just for us, right?
Nice.
So, let's now put that on, please.
What?
Okay. So, this was connected. Yeah, you can do that for me. Thank you. So this actually, I wanted to go to the title of Krampus the Christmas Punisher. So it seems like Krampus has always had to do with this time of the year. And forgive me for the images, but that is what he looks like. So I'm going to go through the article. While much of the Christmas season is dominated by Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus, there's a darker being that you may be interested in learning more about if the idea of hunting and monsters intrigues you. It's Krampus. By the way, this article comes from American Ghost Walks. Um, and so this is Krampus, where Santa is sweet, bringing children presents and presenting himself like a sweet grandpa. Krampus is a monster, which has its own appeal for people at this time of the year. So while the worst thing Santa may do is leave you coal, a lump of coal, right? The worst thing that Krampus may do is drag you to hell. In place of that, he may just chase and scare naughty children, but why would you want to take a chance? All of a sudden, Cole isn't sounding so bad after all. So, who was Krampus anyway, and why would he do such a thing to children? Let's find out more about him and the celebrations that include him around the world. So, that is one image. Okay, let's keep going. So, who is Krampus? Although not celebrated as much as his jolly benevolent counterpart, Krampus's dark nature is one that appeals to the same side of people as Halloween. The legend, and so this is where the connection. As soon as Halloween leaves, now we're moving into Christmas season. You don't have to highlight for me, actually. It's
the legend of Krampus involves a half-goat, half-man creature who is the devilish companion to Saint Nicholas.
Okay, let's just leave that. Okay, thank you. Okay, so while the origin is for the most part a mystery, many anthropologists believe it dates back to pagan mythology. We don't know how much about the pre-Christian pagan pantheon of Europe, since Christian missionaries attempted to wipe out their traditions altogether. He's often depicted as a monster with cloven hooves for feet and goat-like horns atop his head. The beast has fangs, crazy eyes, and a long pointed tongue to add to his wickedness and charm. I would say
charming.
He's usually drawn covered in black or brown hair, and it has dominating presence, towering over humans, 8 or 9 feet tall. Krampus also came to represent the oncoming dark nights and the difficulty of surviving in the Alps in the frigid winter. So this tradition came from Central Europe or Western Europe. The name itself comes from the German word Krampen, which means claw, and according to the legend, Krampus was the son of the Norse god of the underworld who was named Hel, Hel. Interesting. And despite his this lack of information, we do know that during the 11th century, horned devils began to pop up in medieval plays. And so the 12th century hit, Catholic Church attempted to ban celebrating this dark devil, giving his resemblance to the concept of the devil. In 1934, the Christian Social Party of Austria tried again, but none of the attempts to rid the world of Krampus and celebrate of him being held. So, how are Krampus and Santa connected? So, can you scroll to the text, please?
Saint Nicholas and Krampus.
Saint Nicholas and Krampus. According to tradition, Saint Nicholas and Krampus actually worked together, with Saint Nick giving out rewards to the good children and Krampus punishing the bad ones. Maybe that's why he needs a list. He's on the opposite side of Saint Nick, representing the evil, while Nick representing the saint. And because Saint Nicholas Saint Day falls in early December, I think it's around December 5th, he has become associated with Christmas. He is the one who is the saint of children, while Krampus punishes them in an effort to get kids to behave. That is not very nice, right? While the idea of Krampus was prevalent in Austria and part of Germany, In other regions of Germany, other regions of Germany, there were other punishing figures such as
Belsnickel and Knechtpacht, who is
Ruprecht.
Ruprecht. I told you we should pull these up. You said
Yeah.
I said you won't be. You
It
won't
is
be.
hard to pronounce
You
them.
were reading these and it's like you're not remembering this, are you?
Belsnickel and Knecht Luprecht, who was depicted as a black-bearded man who would also be children. According to legend, they came together on December 5th with the saint rewarding kids with candy in their shoes and the devil punishing them by hitting them with birch branches or stuffing them into his sack and taking them to hell to be punished or eaten,
Which, yeah.
which is not what the Bible says, but let's keep going. It's it seems way more extreme than a lump of coal, doesn't it? At least that you can use to keep warm.
I remember there's a famous meme where it's like Minecrafters want it to be bad so they can get a lump of coal.
Right.
It's very,
Okay.
very useful.
Oh, Minecrafters. All right, just a little bit more around the celebrations. While many celebrate the season of Christmas with joy and good cheer, other parts of the world celebrate the 20 days before Christmas with scary demons with masks and horns. Bavaria, some parts of Germany, and the majority of Eastern Europe celebrate Krampusnacht during this time. And I have a story which we're going to read from your dad's book later about my experience growing up in Eastern Europe with some of these celebrations.
That was fun.
While it may seem strange to celebrate a demon, the folklore of the holiday goes back over 1,000 years. It feels more like Halloween than Christmas and began on December 5th. People dress up in a Krampus costume consisting of hand carved wooden mask and a suit of either goat or sheepskin. Add some cowbells on your hips and you're good to go. The traditional costume gets pretty expensive, so people will do alternatives such as using faux fur and face paint instead. Okay, and actually, the tradition is still celebrated today in Europe. In 2013, there were over 200 people who participated in Austria's first national Krampusnacht in Lienz, Austria, which has an annual tradition of dressing up and chasing kids, adults around with sticks.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when we mention birch branches, they're extremely thin and they're pretty much like a whip.
All right, and interesting enough, we decorate our Christmas decorations. Some people use birch branches. Huh, I wonder if that has anything to do with this. It sounds terrifying, but seems to be all in good fun. The annual Krampus parade involves young men who dress up as Krampus to participate in the ancient pagan ritual to disperse winter ghosts. We'll talk about what the Bible says about these things. Krampusnacht or Krampus Night has a foothold in multitude of locations around the world. It has gained popularity in the United States, especially in the Midwest, since many people immigrated from Central Europe to Midwest in the 18th and 19th century. They brought many of their alpine traditions with them. And Clintonville, Ohio, um,
came in 2015 with the Krampus parade.
Oh.
Parades in Seattle and Philadelphia have also popped up to signify the start of the Christmas season.
So it seems like Krampus popping in parades around this time of the year, it's actually not such an unusual thing. Anyway, so the rest of the article, we don't need any more of that. So can we go back and take that off the screen? Thank you, assistant. I appreciate that. So that's plenty in here. And I know a lot of people who love the traditions of taking their kid to Santa Claus parade would think that this is not appropriate, but it seems like a lot of European countries are doing that. And this actually happened in Eastern Europe where I grew up.
Tell what you thought of Santa Claus.
Well, I'm going to read a little bit of Darryl's book.
How about I read to that
Sure.
what you don't like?
The Red Mark on God's Forehead. And the reason my husband wrote this book is because, well, we've been trying to search the truth. We've been trying to understand what the Bible says, what Christianity says and does. and how those all this aligns. So can I just find the part where your dad wrote about my experience with Santa Claus and then all these other things? Okay, so could you read from the top of the page, please?
Yes. Today in Austria, Germany, and the Czech Republic, they have a Krampus night, and people, often drunk, dress up in hideous costumes and parade around the streets scaring children. The Bulgarians have a similar festival called Kukeri. The Dutch,
Cookery, yeah. So that's Bulgaria. That's where I was born. So go ahead.
Josh, the Dutch created a version of him similar to Odin called Sinterklaas. Part of his uniform was the crozier, which was an early pagan instrument with the symbol of the serpent built into it. Every pope has a crozier, or, since Pope Paul IV, the bent cross, another satanic symbol. As part of his uniform, and some of them are pretty hideous, Sinterklaas
Mhm,
also traveled with a dark elf called Zwart Piet, or Black Pete.
mhm,
How godly or honoring to Yeshua is any of this? Many argue that Saint Nicholas was reputed to be a 4th century Turkish bishop who gave out gifts to the poor, especially dowries to young women so that they wouldn't have to become prostitutes.
mhm.
Therefore, our Christmas traditions actually honor him. The Second Vatican Council of 1962 revoked his sainthood, claiming there is no evidence he existed. Even if he did, though, what people today associate with Christmas has very little to do with him and a lot more in common with all the pagan things that we have covered. The devil was even called Old Nick in England during the Middle Ages.
Yes.
Have you ever seen the look on children's faces when they go to the mall during the Christmas season and wait in line for long periods of time to sit in Santa's lap and tell him what they want for Christmas? My wife has a picture of herself. Oh, you
That's me. I have pictures, several pictures.
has a picture of herself when she was only 4 or 5 and did this. She was terrified of this bearded stranger, as many children are. They have more discriminants sometimes than adults.
Discernment.
Discernment. It's clear that God didn't put the date of Yeshua's birth in Scripture. He didn't intend for us to commemorate it. We know that December 25th can't be the right date, even if we were supposed to celebrate it, because no sheep are in the fields in Bethlehem or Jerusalem, which are up in the mountains at the time of the year because it's too cold. We also know December 25 is associated with the birthdays of Nimrod and many pagan gods, and all the traditions associated with Christmas have pagan and occultic origins. Knowing all of this, it's safe to conclude that the way we celebrate Christmas violates God's commandment from Deuteronomy 12:29 to not worship him as pagans did their gods.
Yes. So thank you. So because when I was actually posting this article that I'm chatting about today, how Krampus appeared in the Santa Claus parade, um, uh, we have a few Christian friends, and what did one friend respond? Well, if you truly celebrate Christmas, you would be celebrating
The birth
Jesus.
of Jesus.
Right. And so, but it's also not accurate because according to Bible scholars and archaeologists and historians, um, during this season, wintertime, actually shepherds would not have been in the field. So
They would have been chilling at their homes, like having the sheep in the barn or something.
sheep would be in barns and being fed hay that was harvested obviously during the season. Um, so even the birth of Jesus is not at this time of the year. So what is happening at this time of the year? Why are we celebrating all these things? Again, I think it's people's desire to have traditions um and to really cheer themselves up, because it is not cheerful when it's raining or snowing and it's cold outside
Like this.
like it's been today. And we surely understand that, but sometimes our imagination and desire to cheer ourselves up starts to take over reality, and then our stories then start becoming more important than the truth that exists out there. Um, and one of the things also many times we question is, well, what are we truly celebrating? And see, I think your dad was talking about here how yes. So we have asked people, so if we're celebrating the birth of Jesus, then why are we getting presents at this time of the year? If it is his birthday, remember, whoever has a birthday, they get to have presents, right?
We can't exactly give presents. He's up there now.
Right, because we can't see him, right? But the thing is, what has happened at this time of the year, and this is something we as parents have to be very, very careful, is that we have to make sure that we don't encourage um, rewards and indulgence just for the sake because it's this time of the year and we have made up a story to make it okay. Um, So while giving gifts, that's so a little bit more from my from Daryl's book here. While giving gifts to one another, to the ones we love, can be a good thing. This practice of self-indulgence can breed issues of entitlement, which the world definitely does not need more of these days. Secondly, if we're celebrating Yeshua's birth, why are we getting presents? I posed this question to a young lady one time, and her response was classic. Why not? Tough to argue with this. However, as we've already discovered, that the giving of gifts on birthdays was a form of worship, and the Christmas tradition of gift giving comes from that. The Christmas tradition of gift giving comes from the wise man, and so Daryl kind of discusses about where they came, but the wise men came to worship Jesus, Yeshua. So gift giving for somebody's birth is a form of worship, and we have to make sure that we don't worship ourselves, right? And people, so buying gifts for one another in the spirit of the season has nothing to do with Yeshua, and the commercial frenzy is as worldly as you can get. People feel pressure to buy gifts, and millions of people end up in debt that takes months or a year to get out of. So, how is this honoring to God again? Yeshua came to set the captives free, not put them further into bondage in their celebrations of Him. And the Bible also says that if you owe somebody money, you are a slave to that person. So actually, owing somebody money is taken very seriously. And so, if we take this time of the year to spend a lot of money, get into debt, um, we are not really cheering ourselves up, maybe temporarily, but then we are causing ourselves more harm, just like the candies on Halloween. Also, bank accounts can get harmed. All right. Why don't you read about next part? And the other part is the issue of lying. Could you read about that?
Next, we have the whole issue of lying. How many children have been traumatized when they found out Santa wasn't real? Sorry if this was new to you.
Apologies on everybody to everybody here on the
There
show.
was a story posted online about a woman who walked away from faith in Yeshua because she said if her parents lied to her about Santa, then they probably lied to her about God too. Ever since she never saw either of them, never lied to your children. Since she never saw either of them, never lie to your children, ever. The eighth commandment says not to bear false witness. There's no such thing as a little white lie.
Mhm.
Satan is the father of lies, so any lie comes from him. Telling kids about tooth fairies and other mythical creatures is not healthy, even in fun. Lying breaks trust, and who knows what seeds of doubt have been planted because of this. Lastly is the tradition of Santa Claus. He's a big jolly guy we've become so familiar with is a rather late tradition
Mhm.
to this centuries-old legend. Coca-Cola commissioned artist Haddon Sundblom of the Darcy Advertising Agency to draw the overweight man in the red suit and hat, Coke's color, in 1931 to encourage people to drink Coke. For a while, children were encouraged to put a bottle of Coke on the table instead of milk with the cookies because the sugar and caffeine were needed in large amounts to make sure it got to every house throughout the night. Didn't hurt Coke's bottom line either. So while we can thank American capitalism for our image of Santa, the origins go back to Old Norse legends. The god Odin or Woden, for which our weekly Wednesday is named,
Mhm.
meaning inspired one. He was the deity for intoxicating drink, ecstasy, ecstasy,
Mhm.
and death, wisdom, occult, and magic.
Yeah.
He traveled around the world on a white horse with 8 legs. Odin used to travel around with a Krampus, from the German word Krampen, or claw, a dark one who used to scare and punish naughty children, put them in a sack and take them to the underworld. Half man and half goat, these scary little demons eventually became our modern day elves. Nothing like an image makeover.
All right, we can stop right here. Thank you so much. So we're seeing that a lot of the traditions that are associated with Christmas and Santa Claus and all the parades and the gift giving and even the little reindeer that pulls Santa's sled, um, they all come from mythology and their origins are from there. To me, it was a new one, actually, the whole thing with the bird sticks, because we decorate even our houses with that. And so every little thing has its significance and it comes from something that is not the kind of tradition we normally would want to tell our children. We don't want to tell them about those little devilish creatures, right? And but it really was Coca-Cola that created um, the Santa Claus with the red suit, and it's because, well, Coca-Cola is a drink that you drink to cool off in the summer, and at this time of the year it was just not a good market for that drink. So guess what, we have to create somebody who's going to drink Coca-Cola in Christmas time.
And guess who that
And guess
is?
who that was? So that was Santa Claus. um One thing I want to talk about here is yes, the whole issue of lying. And listen, sometimes we tell kids we're using our imagination. It's okay to tell fairy tales, but we have to understand that fairy tales are just imagination, active imagination, and we need to really help children then distinguish the difference between reality, between truth and lie, especially if we are to teach them to be discerning and to be able to understand when they're being lied to. I mean, the whole thing right now is people are trying to understand what is being told in the news. Is it a lie? Is it a truth? How much of it is a lie? How much of it is a truth? And I believe that traditions like Christmas and, tooth fairies is what your dad mentioned there. What else do we have?
Uh,
We have, I guess, the little, I guess, for Valentine's Day, the Cupids, all of these
Easter
things.
Bunny.
The Easter Bunny. That's right. When we start making up these things and then we start acting as if they're real, and we create all these traditions and holidays around these things, um, one day the children will grow up and they will realize that those things were make believe, but more, you see, because they truly believe this, they will feel that they've been lied to.
No, bunnies don't lay eggs.
Yes, so we are studying right now biology, right, about animals, and yeah, we
Not
found
me.
and we found out that they are mammals,
Mammals don't lay
and they're
eggs.
not birds.
They give birth to live babies.
So there you go. So as your children are starting to learn more about the truth of how things work and history and all that, they will realize that it seems like the whole world is going into a make believe mode, but it's at the cost of the truth. And the truth is that Jesus wasn't born December 25th. The truth is that Santa Claus is just made up of Coca-Cola. The truth is that his origins are from the Norse god Odin. The truth is that he was quite cruel and evil person. We don't even know is if Saint Nicholas truly existed or not. Um, and so, as Daryl mentioned in the book, it was actually the story that he mentioned was I was in a children's ministry forum, and it was Christmas time, and there were discussions: should churches even allow Santa Claus celebrations in the church? And a lot of people didn't think that there was much wrong with it. But this one lady said, please don't do it, because one of the children who later grew up and became a young lady and realized that she was being lied to, and she realized that um, Santa Claus was a made up person. It wasn't real. She then questioned Jesus and she stopped following God and she abandoned her faith because of the lies she was given as a child. So we do not want to create this kind of relationship. And we saw a little cartoon. It was The Far Side. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, it was a living room with
It was a
kids.
living room with kids on their devices, and Santa and his reindeer were like, it's a lot easier to sneak into houses nowadays.
Nowadays, it's a lot easier. So not only do we have all these make-believe traditions that are really downright lying to our kids because we spend a lot of money and time and effort into pretending that there's a some stranger comes into our house through a chimney, but then he's chubby at the same time. So if your kids are learning physics, they're gonna start questioning some of those things
I mean,
anyway.
if you see the picture, like if he's that overweight, how will he fit down a tiny tube that smoke goes up? Number one, and number two, what if your fire's lit for the night?
And what happens if your house has no chimney? So, so when our children start figuring out these things and they start asking us questions, we as parents have two choices. Do we go further into lies or do we tell them the truth and we say, I am sorry, I participated in a lie. Please forgive me. We are going to have now true traditions. We are going to actually base our traditions in truth. And you know what? At this time of the year, what are we doing in the pod? What kind of checklist did I give you guys?
Basically, what we do is we go around and every holiday that passes, we will figure out what the origins are.
Right. So one of the things we do in our pod is when we encounter a holiday, and I mean Diwali was a new one for me this year. Well, I've heard about it before, but I didn't know what it was all about.
Halloween,
Halloween,
Diwali,
Diwali,
Christmas.
Christmas, Thanksgiving. We talk about the origins. We talk about the stories, the legends, where all these traditions came from. And we do not force the children to make them believe that they're true. If we want to raise critical thinkers, then we can read different stories. We can read about different cultures, but we do not have to participate in every tradition, especially those of you who believe that the Bible is true, who believe that God is the one who created everything, is the one who is the ultimate truth, and so there is a commandment not to lie, and so by us participating, and we call it white lies and dark lies. Lie is a lie. We have to understand that. Now, do we want to have tradition? Let's do that based on truth and good things. So some of the traditions I'm trying to create with our pod at this time is acts of kindness. Why don't we, instead of giving people things, why don't we do kind things for them? Why don't we um, try to have good characters? And I don't like the whole acts of kindness thing because it shows that if I check off something that is nice, I can go back to being unkind. That is an attempt to make it a lifestyle for us to think, how are we going to do good things instead of trick one another, lie to one another, see if we can get away with some things that we tell one another. Okay? I don't think it's a good idea. April Fool's Day, I don't like that day because, again, it's how are we to create trust in our families if we have traditions where we trick in one another and see if the person is going to catch on? Um, we do not want to make people feel like they need to look out behind their backs and find out whether we are being honest or not. It's about our character. It's about our integrity. And so, do you have anything to say right now?
Normally during Christmas, my friends they all celebrate it, so they'll be saying like Merry Christmas and stuff. And since I don't celebrate, I say okay, like have a good day, stuff like that. Like honestly, I just keep it very neutral with them, and then I'll
Right.
tell them a bit about what we celebrate, and then we'll exchange gifts sometimes.
Right. And so, yeah, that's another thing. Thank you for bringing up a very good point. But we need to also try to show interest in the people. What is it that they believe? What is it that they celebrate? What is important to them? And you know what? We can say, well, but this is what we believe. This is what we celebrate. We don't have to agree with everyone. We don't have to do what they do. We have to, and we've talked about this many times, we can enjoy our diversity. But those of us who believe in the Bible, we have to understand that we cannot compromise. It does say in Jeremiah 10 that God does not want us to worship him in the way that the nations do, that the other people who do not believe in him do. Everybody has a choice of what tradition to make, what holidays to celebrate, but we have to make sure that we are true to the belief. And if we don't know what we believe, then we can start reading. Make every holiday an opportunity to learn the origins of that holiday, to different traditions that have come together. And here in North America, and both in Canada and the US, we are societies made of different cultures that come from different parts of the world.
Canada is made up of different cultures. Like, there's no pure Canadian.
And it's the same thing for the US, really. And so we have to really understand the traditions, and we have to make good choices, and we have to understand how much are we willing to believe, and we have to understand um, what is truth and what are lies, and the difference between legends. Legends may have some element of truth, but they don't have to be necessarily true fully, and we don't have to put an importance on those magical elements of holidays. um, just being good to one another, just doing good deeds for one another should be sufficient, especially when, if we don't have money, that doesn't matter. And I know a lot of people at this time of the year start feeling depressed because they cannot afford, or if they cannot afford, they go into debt so that they could pretend that they can afford and buy things for people. This is not what this is all about. What we need to do to cheer one each other up, we need to take time to spend with one another. So you hanging out with your friends, it's okay for you to understand there's traditions, and it's okay to even exchange gifts at this time of the year. But don't do it because you have to. Do it because you want to, because you feel that you value that person. And when we really appreciate someone, a gift is just a small sign that we really appreciate them. But we don't have to give them gifts. What would you like people to do for you other than giving gifts that makes you feel good?
Um,
What do you guys like to do with your friends?
Basically, just like to hang out. I don't know.
Spend time with one another. Yeah, maybe have food together, watch movies together.
I think the thing is, when we finally manage to meet up with each other in like some games, that we can finally talk, because it's been like it for some reason it's a lot harder to meet up on a game than it should be.
Right, and you know what? But I think the best thing is to hang out with each other in
But what if you
person.
can't? Like, if it's bad weather today?
Right, the bad weather, it makes it harder to get together. But you know what? I think somebody would feel very special if you took the effort, even in a bad weather, to go and visit them. And so um, we want to make sure that our traditions are honoring of God. First of all, if we believe in God, we have to make sure that everything we do according to His ways. And telling the truth, I think, is more important. Even I have said to kids many times, you know what? Your parents are the ones who buy you gifts because they love you, because they want to make you feel, to cheer you up and to make you feel happy at this time of the year, because it's cold and it's not nice all the time.
Icky, yucky, cold, no snow.
Right.
I
But
think the only reason why winter is tolerable because there's snow to play around in.
because there's snow, and so we go tobogganing. We have special,
Without finger breaking.
yes. Um, we we try to do activities in the winter, maybe family movie night, or a family games night, board games. We
Family go out and look at something night.
we can go out and visit new places. The family do hikes, maybe,
Or we can head over to that favorite dessert shop.
or again, that's a little bit of food, and we have to watch out our sugar intake. But once in a while, just doing. You just did something good today that your dad was very happy about. What did you do for your dad?
That was 2 days ago.
You gave, okay.
I gave him a thank you card saying what I appreciated about him.
Right. So that's one of because of this time of the year, I'm encouraging the kids in our pod to do good things. And actually, from our Thanksgiving, we start talking about being thankful, and then I wanted them to think of one person that they're thankful for, and then write down reasons why they're thankful for them, what they appreciate about that person, and then based on that list of what they appreciate about that person, then they wrote a thank you card. And I said, now you have to go and give that person, because they would like to hear, people would like to hear that they're being appreciated. We don't have to buy them anything. Kind words actually really, really help a person cheer up. How did your dad feel? What did he say? What does he want to do with the card?
He said, I guess I could keep it.
No, he loves to keep it because you took it back and he's like, where's the card? I want to keep it.
I took it. No, he gave it to me, and then it's like, okay, now I want to keep it. It's like, make up your mind.
No, he actually showed it to me. He's like, did you know? I said, yes, I knew that Yossi did that.
No, he gave it to me. He gave it to me. I put it on my desk, and then I took my copy.
Well, it doesn't matter because he wanted it. And you know what? I know that Yossi's dad, your dad, has several cards that you've made for him over the years, and he keeps them. And he takes them out, and every time he takes them out, guess what happens? He has a big smile on his face, and then we sit down and have a few memories. What happened around the time when the card that year, when the card was made, what prompted us to do that, and so going over family photos, have good traditions, but make sure that they're based on truth. Make sure that they're based on trust in one another, because sooner or later children will realize what is truth and what is not, and we want as parents to be the ones that they remember always being honest is telling them the truth, because then I want you to be honest and tell me the truth all the time, don't I? And I get upset when you don't, right?
Yes.
Because it is hurtful, it's harmful. No matter how good the intention is, just lying is lying. And so for those of you who are headed out to Santa Claus parades, it's up to you. You decide you want to cheer up. Make sure you tell your children that these are just people dressed in costumes, and they're doing that just to cheer them up. The gifts that the kids, you may give your kids, make sure you let them know that you give them those gifts and that you do it because you love them. I think that will be so much better.
Santa Claus is real, but Mom, what happens if our fireplace is lit?
Right. Because unfortunately, what happens when kids start growing up and start questioning some things that don't add up about Santa Claus? Unfortunately, a lot of parents start going to further lies and further lies, and we try to sneak and hide things. That is not the way we want to be with one another. And the other thing is, we want to be learning, just like we're learning about the history of different holidays. We want to learn what other people around us are celebrating and what they value.
I have a friend who said, I figured out that Santa Claus is real. I said, and she said, I don't really care. But I'm not telling my mom because she still thinks.
So mom now believes that, so let's not ruin it for mom.
No, mom's like, I just don't want to make her upset, and she's told me this all the time. I said, okay.
And so when kids figure it out, you see, that's a good one too. And they figure out they don't want to now talk with us about the fact that they know and they found out, because they think they'll make us upset, because we get so obsessed with Christmas and traditions, and all of a sudden there are things we can't talk about. There are things that we don't mention. And I think we should be able to talk about anything, and we should be truthful with one another, and we shouldn't be upset with one another because of what we believe and some things we have found out. Okay? So I would suggest that at this time of the year, we really focus on our family relationships, really focus on what we believe. Ask ourselves, what do we believe as family? Start reading together as a family, start learning together as a family. Because if we, the parents, don't read and learn, our kids are not going to read and learn, right?
You barely read, yet I read.
Right. Well, I read a lot of stuff for you guys to teach you. So I do. Everything that I present in our pod, I have to read about it, watch videos together. make sure that you never stop learning together as a family.
YouTube, How to Central.
Right. Well, I think this is going to be a topic. Thank you for bringing up all these good topics. But how do we teach our children to look at media, to look at different websites, videos, movies, and how to discern
Whatever.
which ones are good and which ones we should stay away from?
And you can watch Home Alone without feeling guilty. It's okay.
Right. So Home Alone, it's really a very realistic picture of.
Two bad guys trying to break into a house while this kid's parents are on family
Now,
vacation.
do you know why these two guys in Home? Let's talk about Home Alone. Why did these guys want to break into the house?
I don't know. I haven't watched the movie.
Guess what? We are going to find out, but usually it's because people at this time of the year feel left out, and so if they can't afford it, they try to steal it.
And then this kid comes up with ingenious traps to go and make these guys feel more burnt and down and broken than they've ever been before, and he eventually gets them out of the
Right.
house.
So we think Home Alone is kind of funny, but it is not funny. First of all, what parents forget their kid at home? Going on.
Okay, parenting ran time out.
Actually, you need to be here because we'll be done in a couple. What would you think if we forgot you? when, when we're supposed to take you on vacation somewhere where you wanted to go.
He wanted to go?
If you want to go somewhere on vacation with us and we forget you home, what would you think?
Mom, get the camera.
Right. He would be calling us on the phone. Right. So, as I said, this is actually a good thing that we may want to examine in future shows is how do movies, how do shows, how do different even books and
how they make us think of a certain way.
How they make us think about our families. How do they think and shows that we need to relate with one another. And I don't think even in Home Alone, the parents are presented in a very good way. Parents who are so scatterbrained to forget their kid means that they don't know what's going on. And that is not the image we want to have our kids because our teenagers already think that we don't know a lot, right?
No, nothing.
See, there's honesty right here. See, and we are encouraging honesty in our family, and this is why he can tell me that. I don't think you know much. And in this day and age when there's so much information available, I don't even know how people keep up.
You don't know how I keep up.
No, I don't know how parents keep up with this whole Santa Claus thing when there's just so much information out there.
I mean, you can barely figure out how to fix a website tab.
So anyway, I think we need to treat our children.
It's okay, you're not alone.
Oh, okay. I'm getting a sympathy hug here because I'm not
sympathy.
I'm not very
tech
savvy. Anyway, we just want to make sure that we ask you to think about truth and trust and good things. If we are going to celebrate the victory of light over darkness, so then let's celebrate the truth over lies. Let's celebrate what's good over evil. And yes, those who were appalled that there was a Krampus in a Santa Claus parade because he looks hideous. Well,
you're absolutely right.
We should be appalled about lying to our children. We should be appalled about this whole spending frenzy that is going on right now, trying to shop.
Money.
Actually, in the U.S. right now, it was Black Friday, and then turned into Cyber Monday, and it's turning Cyber Monday.
So what? It's basically like you just get a whole bunch of technology deals off.
No, it's just everybody online now is giving discounts to shop online for you to shop from them online.
Black Friday, stores, Cyber Monday, more stores.
Hey, there's a homework for you all. If you want to find out the origins of Black Friday and what that is all about, then go ahead and take a look at that. And I got to tell you, anything black and anything dark is not good. So let's truly look into the light, look into the truth, and not indulge into the lying, not indulge into buying ourselves things, but really being people who are honoring of God, honoring one another, and focusing on relationships rather than things at this time of the year. If you want to ask us a question, you can obviously comment, you can email us. Daryl and I also run School Pods Canada, and at School Pods Canada and all our pods, we encourage the truth is told, that the parents are communicating with the teacher, the parents are communicating with the children, and the teacher is always honest and upfront with the parents and the children, because we need to be able to trust one another. There are enough lies to go around. We don't need any more. And on this note, I think we're going to say goodbye and thank you for being with us.
See you, folks.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.